looking for ways that you can charge your clients more? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you one tip to help you get there. So first things first, I want you to stop calling yourself a freelancer. Yep, it is that simple. By not calling yourself a freelancer, you are immediately setting yourself to be paid at a higher level. Now let's break down first a little bit more about freelancer and why I don't love that term. So when you think of the term freelancer, honestly, the first thing that you get in your head is that that person is going to be less expensive. You could probably get a deal out of them or a discount out of them. When you utilize the term freelancer, yes, that's technically what you're doing, right? You are doing so much more than that. That is really just the status in which you are working. That has nothing to do with the work that you are actually providing. When I see people post or on their LinkedIn headline and I see freelance instructional designer, I think, cool, but now I want to pay you less because I don't value a freelancer as much as I would value something else or someone else. And so while I do believe that you can do an amazing, excellent job, even if you are a freelance instructional designer, what I would love to see you more is call yourself a consultant or a service provider, or even if you just use the term self-employed. Those phrases have a more value behind them. And honestly, perception is people's reality. And we're so used to going to places like Fiverr for a freelancer that's doing work for cheap, like a cheap logo or something like that. You just don't value a freelancer as much as you would value someone who said, I'm self-employed, or I'm a consultant, or I'm a service provider. Which is what you're doing, you're providing a service. And so I want you to really stop and think and start to rephrase some of the way that you are showing up and some of the ways that you are talking about yourself. This is the one thing that you have in your control to be able to demand higher pay for your services. Now, yes, you have to still provide a service and you still have to provide more behind that, right? And the entire experience needs to be elevated and you have to be good at your job. But right from the beginning, when you talk about yourself in more of a service provider or consultant or a business owner role, don't you see like even me, like I just kind of perked up, I sat up and I was ready to have conversations at a different level than when I say, oh, I'm a freelancer. Because honestly, sometimes I feel like we say, oh, I'm a freelancer and kind of are shamed by it or feel shameful from it. I want you to be able to take a moment and stop calling yourself that. Pick a different word. Honestly, words and titles don't mean a lot, and they're really there for other people and how they're going to be able to recognize you and be able to place value in the work that you do. For me, I call myself a consultant and I really call myself a service provider because for me, it's about the entire experience. And the biggest thing that you're going to have to do to stop calling yourself a freelancer is work on your mindset. And this piece is critical. Because this is the piece that until you can feel confident saying it and until you can believe it for yourself, no one else is gonna believe it for you. And I know I'm not the cheapest out there and I know that I'm also not the most expensive, but I do know that the service that I provide and the entire experience and the quality of work, it should be valued higher than if you were going to Fiverr to look for someone to create an e-learning module for you or help you build a learning community or something like that. All honestly about perception. And for me, that took a really long time to realize like I was actually a business owner. When I first started, I was like, all right, I'm just like gonna do this contractor thing and like see what happens. And it wasn't until I really started working on my own mindset and decided I was gonna show up, not as the person that I necessarily was in the moment, but as the person I want to be, that I was actually able to start to command higher rates, get better clients that are actually going to value the work that I provide, clients that are going to value what they pay me, right? And they're not gonna sit here and try to nickel and dime me over what I charge them and this and that. And listen, a lot of people do that. Everyone does that, right? Like there's a psychological thing behind getting a deal that, you know, everyone's gonna ask and they feel really good, even though it's like Amazon Prime Day. Don't you notice that the prices of things just go up a couple of bucks and then you see on Prime Day it goes down a couple of bucks and you're like, oh my God, I need that, it's such a deal. Even though the entire year it was it was that same price. You just think that on Prime Day you're getting a deal. Like, there is just a psychological thing about getting a deal. You have to work a little bit on your mindset in order to be able to command that. I have this framework that my coach Natalie Ekdahl created that I think is the best way to really stop and help you reset your mindset. And that's called the Reset Your Mindset Framework. So the R stands for recognize. And this is that first step where you are acknowledging that something is going on. And you need to recognize that before you get to the point where you can actually adjust your mindset and shift it. When I say the phrase consultant or business owner or CEO or service provider, at times now even, but in the beginning especially, I had to stop. There was something going on, and I had to realize that I felt icky about saying that because I didn't honestly feel it for myself. I didn't honestly feel I was doing those things because I had idolized all these other service providers and consultants and CEOs that seemed so much bigger than me, and I never thought that I had the capacity to be doing those same things. So I had to stop and recognize that like something was off and something was going on. And then I had to go and evaluate what is going on. Why am I thinking this? And then identify the story. What is the story that I'm telling myself that is causing me to believe that I'm just a freelancer, like I'm not good enough to be a service provider, I'm not good enough to be called a consultant? And there are a few stories that I tell myself, right? There are CEOs out there that have bigger companies than me and they do bigger things. I don't think I do the things of a CEO. What are people going to say when I stop calling myself a freelancer and I call myself a CEO or I call myself a service provider or a consultant? What is that perception that I'm going to see on social media or on, particularly on LinkedIn? Honestly, those are the things that I think. And then the next step to the your mindset framework is enough. And you have to have that moment that you're going to say, you know what, that is it. If I continue down this path, I'm never going to grow. I'm never going to change my mindset. This is where you are going to just like stop and draw that line in the sand. And this is going to be your moment that you are going to actually go ahead and take action, which is the last step of the puzzle. Take action towards whatever you need in order to help reset your mindset. And for me, it was doing all of that work beforehand to realize that I need to stop calling myself a freelancer if I ever want to start building a business that's bigger than me, if I ever want to command a higher rate. And you'll notice those in the field that command a higher rate, they don't call themselves a freelancer. They're a consultant. They are a specialist. They're a service provider. They're something bigger than a freelancer. When I was going through this process of resetting my mindset of whether or not I was a freelancer or consultant or, making that step into CEO and finding my people, I wholeheartedly believe in community and the value of community and the value of family. I believe that family could be the family that you're born into or a family that you choose. But it's that at the end of the day, the core of it is that it's your community, it's your people that are going to stand by you, that are going to pick you up when you're down, that are going to give you solid advice, good advice, and not always the advice that you want to hear. Sometimes it's the advice that isn't what you necessarily would hope that someone would say to you. And so that's why sometimes you're like, I wish that you lied to me because I really just wanted to hear what I wanted to hear today. But I had to find that community to help me with resetting my mindset and realize that I almost got it all together. It wasn't until I started pulling back the layers that I realized, wow, no one has all of this together. There are a lot of things behind the curtain that are different. A lot of the perception that I had is completely different than what reality is. That community helped me. And that community, or those communities, because it was a few different groups that I was a part of, some Slack communities, some coaching circles and things like that. Those communities helped me realize that it was all in myself, right? Like I could command whatever I wanted to command, and I could call myself whatever I wanted to call myself. And it doesn't matter what other people are gonna say. And it was also those communities that helped when I had these questions that I felt like, I don't know who I can ask this of. Often I've been in circles and communities that I felt like the one that always stuck out. I was doing business to business sales, not business to consumer sales. People don't understand instructional design. People still are out there teaching people how to launch courses without ever addressing the fact that they need to be instructionally designed sound, and that you could just get on a camera, talk through the course, and that's it. The person walks away being transformed, which we all know as L&D professionals, that's not how it works. So it has felt very lonely. And so I know that this video is like a little bit different than what you would normally see, but I wanted to share more about my mission for the work that I'm doing from here on out. And I want to build a community. And I want to build what we're calling the Anchored ID Collective. And this is a community to be that safe space, because I have been in spaces where I didn't feel safe to ask my questions. I've been in the spaces where I've seen people make fun of other people because of the questions that they've asked. I've been in those spaces where I see the snarkiness or I see the sass. And while that's cool, and like, trust me, like, your homegirl can be the sassiest of them all sometimes and the most sarcastic, it doesn't always translate when someone is really coming from a place of like genuinely looking for help, genuinely having a question. And even though a post that someone posts may not be about you, I've been in the situation where like I felt like it was about me, even though it wasn't about me. And that's not really like a fun place to be. That's where the collective was born. And I was sharing with people recently, I stopped building the collective about a year ago on advice from others to really focus on Anchored training. That is still my love and that is my baby, and I love that business. But the Anchored ID Collective is that next step. And it's part of this whole Anchored experience. And it's the place where you can come and you can ask your questions and be in a safe and brave place. And it's a place in which no one's there to make fun of you. And it's in a place where we can help you get from freelancer to consultant to service provider to CEO, whatever it is that you want. It's not just a place for freelancers. It is a place where even if you are working in the corporate environment, you are still going to need these skills. And also, let me be clear, you don't know where your career is gonna go. I never thought I was gonna be a business owner. I always thought I was gonna work in the corporate world and just eventually end up as a VP somewhere. And then I had my kids and I had this like freelance business that was starting to really take off, and I said, maybe I should look into this. And little did I know that I tapped into the person that I never knew I really wanted to be, but it was really true who I am, like at the core of me as a person. And it goes beyond being in the corporate world. Why wouldn't you want to be in a place where if you end up seeing that your circumstances change, you could have the support to check out what that whole world is about? And I wanted to create a space also for those in the corporate world that maybe you want to switch industries, but you don't feel safe or like able to really post about it on LinkedIn because your boss is connected with you or HR is connected with you. This is that place away from all of that, away from social media, to be able to just have private conversations, but real conversations. And it's not always gonna be instructional design. My good friend Nicole Papiano actually shared a reel yesterday, and she is at the ATD National Headquarters working on some stuff for ICE next year. And she shared that at dinner, they were having a conversation about, the one skill that we really need as L&D professionals, and it has nothing to do with the actual work. It's business acumen. And this is what I've been telling my team for like such a long time. And this is where when I built the Anchored ID framework, that is why one of those skills is that business skill and the soft skills, because those are critical to getting ahead. Whether you're an internal or a consultant, whatever it is, it is critical that you have that business skill. And so that's why in the collective, some of the things that we're going to do and we're going to talk about is not necessarily ID related. It's how do you work with people that it's really hard to work with. Or I just brought in a subcontractor to work on a project and it's not working out. Or I think my client's really mad and they're not liking the work that I'm doing. How can I reel it back in? And those are the things that we're gonna do in the collective. If you want to check out the Anchored ID Collective, I will leave a link down below so you can check it out. We are going to be, it's a membership program. You could pay for a yearly, quarterly, or monthly membership. Totally up to you, and you're able to drop in and drop out as you need. And what the collective is there for is you get every single month one mastermind. So it'll be on the topic of either ID related or learning development related. It could be business related. It could be mindset related. It really depends on, it's gonna be all different. There will be guest speakers. There will be professionals and experts in different areas. Like I was just chatting yesterday with a LinkedIn expert that I want to have come on and talk more about how do we build our brand on LinkedIn. We're gonna have co-working sessions. So cameras on, microphone muted, head down, let's get to work, let's get something done, something that's going to push you to that next level, something that you've been putting off all week. And then another session that we'll be running is just a general networking session, just so that we can learn more about each other, kind of like speed dating. We'll just be bouncing in and out of different rooms, just getting to know each other. I am so excited about the Anchored ID Collective. I could cry right now because this is the place that I feel like I can provide so much value and service to the community in a way that feels authentic to myself. And while I love teaching people about instructional design, where my heart is in the business side of things, in the brand side of things, in the mindset, and in just helping others become the best version of themselves that is outside just the work. Outside of just, you know, the instructional designer, the L&D professional, being that whole human, that whole person that can bring so many different skill sets to give an entire experience to their customer. And I want you to go from considering yourself a freelancer to considering yourself a consultant or a service provider, because I want you to earn more. And the less freelancers and Fiverr people that we have out there, the less chances that people are going to say, well, I can get it cheaper. Because no, we're all commanding, you know, whatever rate that we're commanding, but we're doing so because we're providing excellence or providing something of value, and it is a higher level of skill that you need, and so it comes at a higher price because there is no competition. I'll tell you that right now. There is not competition out there. There is enough business and enough work out there for every single one of us. Because let me tell you, 3 people cannot take it all on. Right? 3 big companies cannot take it all on. And 3 big companies is not going to be what every single person needs. It's not going to be at everybody's price point. It's not going to be, you're just not going to vibe with everybody. There is enough work to go around. And I know that whenever I am with others that are in my industry, that are other CEOs that I can learn from, that is when I do my best work, and then I come home and I am killing it because I have this renewed strength, renewed sense of self. It almost feels like the universe puts, you know, those opportunities in front of me to help me get to that next level, to that next step. And that's what I want the Anchored ID Collective to be for all of you. So within the collective, besides the membership and besides the weekly masterminds, or I'm sorry, monthly masterminds and the co-working sessions and the networking sessions, we're also building a place to have templates, PowerPoint templates, instructor guide templates, job aid templates that you can just go and pull from to help make your job a little bit faster. We'll be, really building out the ID Collective, and there are workshops that we've been writing all summer that you'll be able to be a part of at a discount, at a high discount. This is your place to be in a community, be in a safe space. So when you show up on LinkedIn, you can feel good about showing up. And you don't feel like you're concerned, or you feel like you're just kind of navigating through things quietly and you don't really know who's what, and your perception may not actually be a reality. This is your place to be authentically who you are, to ask your questions, and to become a better human, not just an L&D professional. So friends, I cannot wait to hopefully see you in the collective, and I will talk to you next time.